All right, so this is going to be my first response, my first impression of the Eternals movie. I'm going to do another video where I go through and kind of hit all the points of this show. I like the Eternals. I want to preface that. I like the Eternals comic book. Let me restate that. So, I did not like the movie. And I guess there's probably people who've watched it and like it and whatever. It'll be a while before everybody kind of comes out and decides where they stand on it. But in my opinion, the movie wasn't very good. It didn't do the Eternals very good, and it left itself open for a sequel that I don't think they're going to pursue. And let me explain why. So, the Eternals is a group of superheroes, much like the Avengers. And the movie starts out with them separated. Their leader, Ajax, dying, Selma Hayek. And of course, a lot of folks probably watched the trailer and said, looks like Selma Hayek's not in it very much. Yeah, she's not. And so, spoiler, I don't know, too late. If you're watching something that's called a review, I'll even put the word spoiler in it, I guess. But you should probably expect that. If you don't, I'm sorry. So anyway, so their leader dies. Cersei receives this magic throat ball that allows her to speak to the Celestials. So now she's the de facto leader. Ajax comes to her. She's actually hanging out with Dane Whitman, who is in the comics the Black Knight. He uses the ebony sword. The ebony sword is mentioned in the by Athena. And she says, no, this is Excalibur. But it's not much talked about after that. During the post-credit scene, Dane Whitman does find the ebony sword, or seems to find the ebony sword. And he was trying to tell Cersei about his family history when she's pulled off the planet at the end. The whole movie is just all over the place, almost like my just now description. So it bounces back and forth. I don't have a problem with the bouncing back and forth. Here's the first problem I have. We didn't start the MCU with the Avengers, and there's a reason for that. If you only watch Avengers 1, Avengers 2, you don't care about the Avengers. Actually, the Avengers, the comic book, was created to kind of bolster sales on some of the other comic books, but also because you already cared about many, or some at least, of the characters. So if you already have an Iron Man, if you already have a Captain America, if you already have a Thor and an Incredible Hulk, you could throw in a couple of extra characters, like Black Widow or whatever, without giving their full background, Hawkeye. But you have to care about some of the characters. You can't just throw an ensemble thing together and not do any world building. This was heavy on talking, disposition, I guess you'd call it. We start out the show a little sacrilegious in the beginning, and then we pop right into these characters that are should be three-dimensional characters, but they aren't. They're one-dimensional. I care not a single bit about any of these characters. Sprite, in the comic books, she uses different means and wipes everybody's minds because she's stuck being eternally young. Not too unlike Interview with the Vampire with Claudia, not too unlike others, where if you're immortal, if you live forever, you want to be immortal and live forever at 20, right? You don't want to be immortal and live forever at 9 or 10. And so that's the same thing. So she had issues with that, and then also we have different characters. They did change their power sets. I didn't like that a lot. So, in the comic books, they all have the same powers. It's just some of them are better at certain ones, and they didn't really describe that very well. Then also, I mean, there's just like so much that's wrong with the movie. They did a lot of building with the deviants. In the comics, you discover the deviants and the Celestials are the same beings. And so, for instance, Thanos is one of the deviants. I said Celestials, I meant Eternals. He's a deviant. He's related to Athena. He's related to the other Eternals. And that's the other thing. They retconned them so that instead of being flesh and blood, they're robotic, and it's kind of weird. The whole thing's a little bit weird, all right? And I didn't particularly like it as a comic book person, but trying to put that to the side, I didn't like it as a moviegoer. It wasn't fleshed out. It didn't make a lot of sense, and that's really the problem. And then it's rushed. So this should have been a Disney Plus television show. This should have been 8 to 10 hours of stuff that they just jammed into a 2-hour movie and really just missed the mark. And that's just my opinion. And like I said, I've only seen it once, and I want to give it some time to breathe. Maybe flip through some of my comic books. I was really hoping that they would really do a good showing of this. Basically, heck, if I were them, I would have hired Neil Gaiman and had him write this movie. I'm sure after all these years that he has some ideas on his already written comic book that could add to the story. And I think he could have done an amazing job, but I don't think they did on this. I think they missed the mark. I would say, Ang Lee, Incredible Hulk, Thor: The Dark World, and just slightly over that, Eternals. There's a lot of things going on in the background that could add to the MCU, but it's just not there. It's just not right. And like I said, I want to watch it again and see if I'm wrong. I was wrong on certain things, so I made some predictions. I was wrong on certain things. I said they would never do that Uniworld, or in this case, Unimind meld thing, and they kind of did. It wasn't super explained. It was pretty craptastic the way they did some of that. But instead of a different being, basically all their powers went into Cersei. Whatever. That's interesting, I guess is a word. And then they did something I would have said they would never do, and it blows my damn mind. So the end credit scenes are interesting. One of them is, like I said, Dane getting the ebony sword. And we hear a whole lot of voices at that time. And somebody said that one of them was Blade. That's great. I couldn't distinguish. I have trouble hearing, anyways. I couldn't distinguish who was talking. Kind of like when, almost exactly when Rey touched the lightsaber the first time, and and got visions and voices, and you could definitely pick out Obi-Wan, but there's other people there too. Kind of the same thing. Matter of fact, this may be the new Disney norm to just touch a magic weapon and hear everybody in the universe. Whatever. But the other thing they did was they they had arrows. They had Star Fox show up, and that's Thanos' brother, who, I mean, in this world of the Me Too movement, I don't know. His powers is basically, yeah, he's like super strong and stuff like this, but more, he uses pheromone power to make women interested in having relations with him. I don't know if that's the Avengers world we want to go to, and it's not too unlike the Purple Man and what he did to Jessica Jones, and I think Arrows does the same thing to She-Hulk in the comics. And folks, what the hell are they thinking? I'm just, I'm looking at this going, what? Why would you do this? They had what's his name come through drinking. One of Eros's buddy, another. I think he's a deviant, not Puck. I don't know. Puck is on the Alpha Flight, but whatever. Whatever his name is now, I'm drawing a blank. But basically, beer drinking, kind of like Puck. Somebody smaller than Wolverine that comes through and is one of Arrow's friends. Now I can't think of his name, but he, whatever. So it blows my mind. It's like, well, okay, this movie sucked, but at least the end credit scenes are not very good either. I mean, it doesn't bode well for the rest of the MCU if this is the big reveal. Yeah. What I was hoping for, honestly, was the beginnings of the Inhumans, the beginnings of the X-Men, or at least mutant kind. And instead, we got Butkus. Yeah, I just don't know. Although the baby Celestial that was coming out, I would assume is full of vibranium, right? So we have a new weapon source for the world, I guess. Also, I wonder. I'm kind of wondering. So, Ego in the MCU is a Celestial. Celestials say that they can only reproduce by implanting a planet or building a planet around a celestial, I guess, egg, for lack of a better word. That's not what Ego was doing. He actually, I guess after Drax kept asking, said that he had male genitalia. So he procreated in a more traditional sense. I wonder what that means for the Celestials. And I wonder what that means for... there was a comic series where Galactus... I forget the name of it, but where Galactus was not just the devourer of worlds. He was more a connoisseur, I guess, and ate celestial worlds. And the idea was Galactus was going to worlds that had been seeded with the celestial egg. And then he was devouring those worlds. I wonder if that's the case here. and I wonder if Ego isn't the Celestials trying to keep Galactus from eating their children. So I think there's in that comic series. I don't totally remember it. I'm gonna have to go look in the in my boxes there. But the idea was Galactus was the checks and balance for the Celestials, Hakuna Matata and all that. It's a circle of life. So what would happen is if there were too many Celestials, the universe would explode, would fail. If there were too many Galactuses, same thing. He would devour everything. And so the Celestials, although they were agents of destruction in that their babies would explode a planet, they were also agents of creation. They were creating these planets. And Galactus would come and eat those planets to keep their number down. And so that was kind of the concept of this. This could be the same way. This could be the introduction of Galactus that we didn't know was coming. I could see that. I could see him coming to Earth then to... I guess that's possible. But he could come to Earth to... because Earth had been seeded. Even if the seed is dead, I don't know. Whatever, I don't know. And that might introduce our Fantastic Four, and then Universal Nullifier. Who knows? Be interesting. So yeah, that's kind of my first thoughts of the Eternals, and I guess my off-the-cuff thoughts of some insane stuff. So who knows? But yeah, I could see this setting up more, and I felt that they missed an opportunity. So, but let's say that off-the-cuff idea about Galactus, it could be that this sets up more than we thought, more than I thought, I guess. But who knows? I don't particularly like the idea of Star Fox showing up, and I don't. I don't know. All right, guys. Let me know what you think. Talk down here in the sections here. Thank you much. Bye.